it's about like a bit before 5 a.m. right now, and this is like my favorite type of time in the year, when it's early summer, late spring, and so early in the morning that no one is awake yet, besides me and some of the birds, who are just starting to greet each other. Thing is, most of the times when I'm awake at this hour, it usually means that I'm in some sort of a rush, or, well, I have to do something before going to sleep. In this case, I'm in the middle of exams, and I'm probably gonna spend the night studying, because I'm a procrastinator, but you already know that. Okay, gotta get back to studying.
I wanted to make the title of this video an alliteration, going like studying summer, Studio Ghibli, sexams, nostalgia, and then in parentheses, no. But I got stuck on the lo-fi part, integrating that into the title, and that is kind of the main part I want to focus this video on. So yeah, I want to talk about a bit of nostalgia surrounding the 2018 internet vibe. By now, everyone is familiar with the lo-fi girl stream, and lo-fi is kind of stigmatized, I guess, for being lazy and the subculture being a bit cringe. But fuck you. That's my rebuttal. No, but for real, I discovered lo-fi at the end of May in 2018, when high school exams were approaching, and for that exam period, lo-fi beats were all I'd listen to while studying. And while that may not really seem like a unique experience saying it like that, it did like feel that way. Not just because lo-fi wasn't really popular back then, and it was still sort of like a niche on the internet, but because the songs felt so intimate and, well, chill. And in the middle of exams now, 4 years later, I just automatically start reminiscing over those 2018 and spring, early summer days when those lo-fi songs would comfort me while I studied. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that school triggers something in me, or maybe it's just the fact that I'm bored as hell, which maybe those songs sort of articulate that feeling. But no, I don't know. It frustrates me that there's not really any words that can describe the feeling I get when I hear like an old school lo-fi song, one that I hadn't heard since back in 2018, when I felt that relaxation for the first time and got the feeling like everything is gonna be okay. Times like these, I especially like that feeling. There's not a day that passes now that I don't wish to go back to those days. Those previous summers. Of course, I probably idealize it a bit in my head. I was struggling with stuff then too, but listening to lo-fi now doesn't have the same effect on me as it did then. Over the years, its comforting feeling sort of faded, and my longing for that comforting feeling grew. I know it sounds incredibly cheesy and cringe and pretentious, but the melancholic comfort of lo-fi is what gave me like the first inklings of introspection, of self-reflection. I mean, as a teenage boy, I never really concerned myself with my feelings, but lo-fi really opened up that door for me. I mean, partially because often the songs would have like little emotional, profound exchanges of like some stupid dialogues at the start, and I was like, oh, wow, this is so deep and emotional, and yeah, it was. But now, yeah, it's only 4 years ago, but I feel like I've changed so much since then. Like my life only really began when I started concerning myself with or considering like my emotional experience of life instead of just, you know, living, I guess. And the bittersweet nostalgia and the calm simplicity those songs radiate really helped me with that. It's only 4 years ago, but I feel like everything's changed so much since then. I know I've already used the word and I try to use as diverse a vocabulary as I can, but I really can only describe the experience those songs brought up in me back then with the word melancholy. Like, a soft sense of sadness weighed on me. I realized I was slowly transcending into adulthood. I didn't know where my life was headed, why I was studying for these stupid exams, why I didn't go to parties, why I still hadn't kissed a girl, why I couldn't keep up with my surroundings. And those old lo-fi songs I first discovered in 2018, well, they still awaken some of those thoughts and my feelings around those thoughts. Well, actually, maybe nothing's changed a bit. It's difficult to now go back to try and find the songs those emotions are stored in because I didn't really keep track of all of them when I first experienced them. The playlist just kept going endlessly anyway, you know. There are, however, some that I saved in playlists, and every so often, when I come across another song that awakens those 2018 feelings, I'll add them to those playlists. I avoid listening to those songs too often, though, because I want myself to relate to the songs like on that same level as I did in 2018. I want myself to relate to those songs. I want the songs to be related to the feelings I had when I first heard them, if that makes any sense. To the feelings I had in 2018, and I don't want to taint my emotional connotations, my emotional experience of those songs, to those songs, with my current emotional state and where I am in life right now. I want them to be this window into 2018. I know maybe that sounds weird, and I don't even know if anyone can relate to this, but frankly, I don't care at this point. I'm past the point of self-indulgence. Like this is just me having a soliloquy at this point. Which actually reminds me of one of those songs that there's this Soliloquy in a Planetarium is a lo-fi remix of is it Mia and Sebastia's theme? Anyway, it's a song from La La Land. And when I first saw La La Land, I thought it was amazing, and like hearing that song, like that rendition of it, it was just bliss. Like it still makes me feel nice listening to it again, partially because of the 2018 nostalgia I've got linked to it at this point. But another song that I love listening to every once a year is Happy by No ID or No Heidi, No Hidea. It's like a No ID with space the space is replaced by an H. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've got no idea how to pronounce it. Okay, that's stupid. Anyway, that song, it's a lo-fi cover of Bo Burnham's "Are You Happy?" If you know anything about me, you know that I'm a big Bo Burnham fan. And Bo, I discovered him back in the summer of 2017, around the same frame of time when I discovered lo-fi, but just a year earlier. And 2017 was back when Bo had just left us, and he left us all just with the question on a scale from 1 to 10, are you happy? Because you're on your own from here, so are you happy? And back then he was nowhere to be presently found, actually making me think I'd never see anything of him ever again. Not only did that make me feel so incredibly sad that it seemed like Bo Burnham quit just when I had discovered him, like I was just late for the Bo Burnham show, for the whatever, and I would never be able to follow his career live, but also just like maybe his work and words are what actually opened that emotional door for me that I was talking about, and that lo-fi music was the thing that made me make my first steps through it. I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but I only say all that to try and convey the feelings I had when first hearing No Ideas Happy. Like, even just the background of this video, it makes me feel that bittersweet nostalgia to the emotion that this song introduced me to. I mean, it's just an anime background. It's just a background of an anime movie, but like, it hits hard, man. It still hits hard. And back then it whatever. But I mean, it's not like this is a unique case in the lo-fi music aesthetic. I guess for some reason lo-fi songs have always had a huge affinity with anime, and especially anime movies. Burbank's Sorry I Like You has an AMV that has over 26 million views, and it's an AMV of a bunch of scenes and cuts from different anime movies edited beautifully together. And every summer evening that I had to spare, I'd watch an anime movie that the lo-fi sphere associated themselves with. And even now, movies like A Garden of Words and 5 centimeters per second are still some of my favorite movies ever made. But in truth, when we go there, there's only really one type of anime movie we can talk about. Lo-fi and Studio Ghibli have always shared this almost familial bond with each other. Some of my favorite songs from the lo-fi community back then, when I first discovered the genre back in 2018, were remixes of Studio Ghibli soundtracks. And I didn't know anything about Studio Ghibli at the time. I didn't even know the songs were remixing anime soundtracks. But when I first heard Summer's Day by Jinsan or Jinsang, lo-fi artists have weird names. I'm sorry if I pronounced them wrong, but when I first heard Summer's Day, which is a cover of Joe Hisashi's One Summer Day, I just felt like overwhelmed by a subtle emotional relief. I mean, it was even titled Summer's Day. Like, goddamn, can you speak even more directly to my personal experience of life right now? No, but those lo-fi remixes, they eventually led me to the movies themselves, Studio Ghibli movies. And wow, I will never forget some of the things that these movies made me feel. Like House Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service. I know you're supposed to watch these when you're like 9 for the first time. That's when you're supposed to first watch these movies, but as a 16-year-old kid, I could not relate harder to some of these characters. Like, the first Ghibli movie I ever watched was, of course, none other than Spirited Away. And even now, at 20 years old, there are few characters in all media that I can relate more to than Chihiro, even though I maybe don't like to admit that. Is what I would say if I actually watched anime, but I don't. So, yeah. I mean, most of the time I spent listening to lo-fi were when I was studying, always late, because I would always postpone my work, like I am doing right now. And I'd still be up at this calm hour, late at night, when my side of the planet had been facing away from the sun for quite a while. When it felt like the only things that existed in the world were me and those soothing lo-fi beats. Maybe I'm being pretentious about it, but that's how I feel. So I initially wanted to make this project over the course of a summer, which looking back it's kind of silly, but I wanted to center the themes of it around like these things like Studio Ghibli and lo-fi and stuff, like things that I now associate with old school nostalgic summer memories. And maybe it's kind of sad that my nostalgic summer memories are memories of when I was alone, experiencing, like, having emotional developments on my own and experiencing stuff by myself. But I don't care. Like, I like being alone. I don't have to worry about anything when I'm alone. Well, anyway,